kingly people, priestly people, holy people. In the previous video, we talked about fasting and denial of food, and we tried to explain whether every denial of food and drink could be termed as fasting, as we call it today, Christians. Fasting that pleases God, that pleases God. So now we want to look at the time when God called for fasting in the Old Testament. I've told you that once in a year, our brothers and sisters, the Israelites fasted the day of Yom Kippur. So we continue. The 10th day of the 7th month. Let's read from Leviticus chapter 23. I take you to the third book of Moses, and we want to read. There we shall be instructed on the times when the fasting lasted. So I'm still reading from the New American Bible, Revised Edition. Leviticus chapter 23, verse number 27. Let me start from verse 26. The Lord said to Moses, "Now the 10th day of this month is the day of atonement. You have a declared holy day. You humble yourselves and offer an oblation to the Lord. On this day you shall do no work, because it is the day of atonement, when atonement is made for you before the Lord your God." That is it. The verb used in this sense is to deny, to afflict, to weaken, to bow down, or to humble yourself. But it is interpreted as this humbling yourself, bowing yourself, as fasting, denying yourself, a denial. Leviticus 23, 26, 27. Once in a year, when the whole nation, the priest, stood ahead of them, cried to God for the purification of sins. Yom Kippur. So everybody in the nation was supposed to fast, to deny himself, to bow before God, to humble himself. We are told when it lasted. Verse number 32. Leviticus 23, 32. Listen, beloved. You shall humble yourselves beginning on the evening of the 9th of the month. We read that the Yom Kippur was the 10th of the 7th month. But a night before, that was the Yom Kippur, a day when a priest anointed stood ahead of the Israelites and offered a sin offering for them. We read from Leviticus chapter 16, verse 29, 32. Listen, Leviticus 16. This shall be an everlasting statute for you. On the 10th day of the 7th month, every one of you, whether a native or a resident alien, a native or even a stranger, a resident alien, shall humble yourselves and shall do no work. For on this day atonement is made for you, to make you clean of all your sins. You'll be cleansed before the Lord. Verse 31, 31, chapter 16, verse 31 says, "It shall be a Sabbath of complete rest for you, on which you must humble yourselves." Later, when I will explain, maybe in the third or fourth video, you understand how that fasting, in my own view, was quite easier than today, because today there are some of us who have to work while fasting. But on that day, the Yom Kippur, the whole day was meant to be a day of rest. Imagine today a teacher going to teach without food or drink. The least thing, you'll be provocated and you become angry. So once you do not work, you are at home, you can have a place of prayer. To me, it was quite easy, although there is still a denial of food. Verse 32 says, "This atonement should be made by a priest who has been anointed and ordained to the priesthood in succession to his father." Leviticus chapter 16, verse 32. When did this fasting last? The night of the previous day, it was on the 10th. So the evening of the night, because the Jewish day began a day before. So the night, the evening of that day, till the evening of the following day. Listen, I'm just reading to you. "You shall humble yourselves beginning on the evening of the 9th of the month, and you shall keep your Sabbath from evening to evening. You call this 24 hours. I'll tell you later the timing for fasting. When can I fast? 1 hour a day, 2 hours, or 12 hours in a day. I will explain to you briefly, dearly beloved. So we have the instructions, verse 28. On that day, do no work because it is a day of atonement. That was the instruction for you. Activity to mark the day, verse 27. You shall humble yourself and offer an oblation to the Lord. You see how the specification is. So it was easy. Today, when I'm telling you, some of us are telling you to fast. Say, oh, Lenten is coming so fast. Then we don't give you specification. Although at times I give you, the guys I send you, I give some of these specifications. But in the church, you are told fast without specification. How should I fast? What should I do when I'm fasting today, Friday? What should you do? God gave them specification. Start the fasting the evening before, so you know you have 24 hours. What should I do? That day, do not work. Beyond that, you should pray. Beyond the prayer, you should offer a sacrifice to the Lord. Then the priest will come to offer the sacrifice for all your sins. So you see how God gave these specifications. Let's read Numbers 29, 7 to 9 and see further specifications still on the Yom Kippur. Numbers chapter 27, verse 7 to 9. And I read Numbers 29, 7 to 9. I said 27. Numbers 29, 7 to 29. On the 10th day of this month, Numbers chapter 29, verse 27. On the 10th day of the 7th month, you shall declare a holy day. Humble yourselves. Do no sort of work. You will offer a burnt offering to the Lord. I've explained to you Leviticus 2 that there are a series of offerings. The burnt offering, the peace offering, the thanksgiving offering, the guilt offering. This burnt offering, the animal that was being offered was burnt completely. Nothing was taken. If it was a peace offering, a part was taken for the priest, a part was burnt for God, and a part was given to the one who brought the animal, peace offering. It is later this peace offering that will develop to become our Eucharist, because we offer bread and we take some, we eat part of the bread. I will explain to you later. During Easter, when I start doing the teachings on the Eucharist. So that is on the 10th day. You offer a burnt offering to the Lord, a pleasing aroma, 1 bull of the herd, 1 ram, and 7 yearling lambs that you are sure are unblemished. Their grain offerings of the brown flour mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah for the bull, 2/10 for the ram, and 1/10 for each of the 7 lambs. 1 goat will be for a purification offering. These are in addition to the purification offering of purging, the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and their libations. God gave them specifications. So the reason why that day was so special was that it was a special day, a holy day, and the sins of the people were to be forgiven. So they had to offer sacrifices, bull, these lambs, then flour and the libations. Once in a year, a whole day from the evening of the previous day to the evening of that day. Do no work, you Israelite and the resident alien. That was how they fasted once in a year. Dearly beloved, later they would develop other fast when the people came out of during the exile, because the temple will be destroyed and there will be some other incidences which called on the people to mourn and weep. So in mourning and weeping, they added denial of food. And I cite these examples for you. What we have just heard, we have read Leviticus chapter 16, Leviticus chapter 27, chapter 29, Leviticus chapter 16, chapter 23, and Numbers 29 concerns the Yom Kippur, the fasting, the yearly fasting. What about the other fast which took place? The Yom Kippur was on the 10th day of the 7th month. But now, on the 4th in the 4th month, on the 7th day, there was another fasting. This fasting was to remember the capture of Jerusalem in the year 587. And the prophet Jeremiah talks about it in Jeremiah chapter 52, verse 6 and 7. Let's look at it. Jeremiah 52, 6 and 7. So there was a fasting there. Jeremiah chapter 52, I read from verse 6 and 7. On the 9th day of the 4th month, when the famine had gripped the city and the people had no more bread, the walls of the city were breached. All the soldiers fled and left the city by night through the gate between the two walls, which was near the king's garden. When the Chaldeans surrounded the city, with the Chaldeans surrounding the city, they went in the direction of Arabah. But the Chaldeans' army pursued the king, overtook Zedekiah in the wilderness near Jericho. His whole family fled from him. So we know how the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, attacked the city of Jerusalem. They advanced against Jerusalem and camped round it, laid siege over Jerusalem and destroyed it. Because of this, they commemorated it. They remembered it. They wept. They fasted for the destruction, the capture of Jerusalem. The capture of Jerusalem. Chapter 52, verse 12. On the 10th day of the 5th month, this was in the 9th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, captain of the bodyguard, came to Jerusalem as a representative of the king. He burnt the house of the Lord, the palace of the king, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every large building he destroyed with fire. He destroyed with fire. So, the fasting to commemorate the burning of the city. We have talked about the fasting to commemorate the capture of the city, the fasting to commemorate the burning of the house of God and other huge places in Jerusalem. Then there was another fasting on the 3rd day of the 7th month, on the anniversary of the murder of Gaddalia. We read from the book of the prophet Zechariah chapter 7, verse 2 to 6. Listen. Now the people of Bethel had sent Zerezer and Regem-Melech and their men to entreat the favor of the Lord, and to ask the priests of the house of the Lord of hosts and the prophets, should I mourn and practice abstinence in the 5th month I have done for so many years? The word of the Lord of hosts came to me. So to the people of the land and the priest, when you fasted and lamented in the 5th month, in the 7th month for these 70 years, was it for me you fasted? No, you didn't fast for God. And when you ate and drank, did you eat and drank? Didn't you eat and drink for yourselves? So these were the words of God. Tell these people, when you were fasting on those days, you fasted to commemorate the murder of Gaddalia, not for God. Then the 10th day of the 10th month, commemoration of the beginning of the siege of the city by Jerusalem. So these were series of fasting and mournings. That is, the people denied themselves of food because of something bad that had befallen them. So in this second video, what I've tried to explain is that I've explained one, the yearly fasting of the Israelites, which was called the Yom Kippur. It was a fasting for the purification of the people. It was a fasting that began the evening of the previous day to the evening of that same day. It was a holy day. They were not supposed to work a Sabbath. They offered sacrifice to God, and the priest stood ahead of them and offered sacrifice for the purification of their sins. Then later in the history of Israel, other fastings will be added. Jeremiah 52, when you read verses 6 to 12, the fasting to remember the attack of the city of Jerusalem, the fasting to remember the burning of Jerusalem in the house of the Lord, the fasting to remember the murder of Gaddalia in Zechariah chapter 7, verse 2 to 6. These were other fastings. Friends, in the third video, I will talk about fasting in the New Testament.